Okay, good afternoon and thank you for joining us. My name is Kim Armstead, Public Information Officer with the Oakland Police Department. Over the last several days, the City of Oakland has experienced an increase in violent crime. Today, Oakland Police Acting Deputy Chief Roland Holmgren, Captain David Elsie, and Lieutenant Seth Neary and Hammond Wynn will speak to these tragic events. Specifically, the homicides that occurred on April 22nd and 24th, and then we'll also give an update about the toddler that was struck by gunfire yesterday evening. Please be reminded that we will not be addressing any questions regarding Officer Tran. We pushed out a statement yesterday evening. If you're in need of that statement, let us know and we'll be more than happy to give you a copy. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Captain Elsie.
Yeah, let's start with Lieutenant.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Hammond Wynn. Last name is Nguyen. I'm the Homicide Commander for the Oakland Police Department's Homicide Section.
Did you say Hammond? Spell your first name, please?
Hammond, Hamann. Sure. So I'll start by discussing two tragic incidents that occurred in the past 48 hours in our city. Starting on Saturday, April 22nd at about 11:09, officers were dispatched to 9500 block of Birch Street to investigate a report of a shooting. Upon their arrival, they located 3 victims suffering from gunshot wounds. One of the victims was transported to Children's Hospital and is listed in stable condition currently. There were 2 other additional victims located on scene. Both were pronounced deceased. One victim, the victim's names were Rebecca Jenkins and her 13-year-old daughter, Desiree Jenkins. A suspect was also located by officers, and he was also arrested on scene. He was identified as Antonio Powell, also of Oakland. He was subsequently placed under arrest for 2 counts of murder and 1 count of assault with a deadly weapon. Charge of considerations for this case is pending with the District Attorney's Office. The Oakland Police Department Homicide Section responded to this call, began follow-up investigation. As far as the second incident, that occurred last night, Monday, at about 10 o'clock at night. Officers responded to a shooting in the 1400 block of 7th Street to investigate 2 persons down. When they arrived on scene, they located 2 victims, both suffering from gunshot wounds. One was transported to ACH. He's listed in critical but stable condition. The second victim was unfortunately pronounced on scene. Both victims are adults and they're both Oakland residents. As of right now, this is an ongoing investigation still. The Oakland Police Department responded to the scene, began follow-up investigation. The decedent's names will be withheld at this time pending further notification of next of kin. If there's anyone in the community that has information on either of these cases, please contact the Oakland Police Department as soon as possible. I'll turn this over to Lieutenant Neary, who will discuss a shooting from yesterday.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Seth Neary. Last name is Nery. I'm the section commander for our family assault robbery section. So I'll be talking about the shooting in regards to our 15-month-old child. So yesterday about 6:15 p.m., our victim were driving home in their vehicle when they approached the intersection of 12th Avenue and East 15th Avenue. As they approached this intersection, they began to hear a barrage of bullets. They immediately take cover inside their vehicle. As the sound of gunfire stopped, the victim, who is 15-month-old, who was seated in a car seat, began to cry. The father, who was seated in the front passenger seat, exited the vehicle and began to comfort the child. At this point, the father did not know that the victim had been shot. So the family proceeded to drive home. As they arrived at home, the child continued to cry. And the father then realized that the child had been shot. They immediately drove to the nearest fire station to get help. The victim was transported to Children's Hospital with a single gunshot wound to the stomach. The child immediately went to surgery, is listed in stable condition. Our investigators are working closely with the family and have provided them with resources. At this point in the investigation, we have obtained video footage in the area that shows a male black subject at the corner of 11th Avenue and East 15th Avenue, firing in an eastern direction at an unknown vehicle. We believe that the victims were not the intended target, but were caught in a crossfire and a stray bullet struck the child. This is still an ongoing active investigation. I am limited in sharing information with you. This is a very tragic event, especially involving children. Being a father myself, I can only imagine what the family is going through. My investigators will continue to work around the clock to identify the individual or individuals responsible for this careless act, and hopefully we can make an arrest. This type of violence impacts the entire community and should not be tolerated. I'm praying for the full and speedy recovery of the innocent child. If you have any information that could assist us in our investigation, please call our Criminal Investigation Division at 510-238-3426.
At this time, we'll take any questions you may have.
How many total shootings have we had in this 5-day period? I mean, it's a lot more than typical even for Oakland. So how many total shootings have we had? And it seems as if no matter what you do, and you're doing a lot, the shootings just continue. So what do you do about that?
Yeah, thank you, Dan. So, Roland Holmgreen, I'm the acting deputy chief for the Bureau of Investigations. I'm filling in for Deputy Chief Lindsay. We've had numerous shootings, right, between homicides and just shootings, whether they're negligent discharges of firearms in our streets, to actually someone being injured and struck by a round, to the unfortunate loss of life. I think the challenging component of this, right, is that there is no rhyme or reason for a lot of the cases. The common denominator here is, and that we see all over the place, is the saturation of firearms in our city streets. And the willingness for people to settle differences and pull a trigger and not care where that bullet goes, right? That is the component. Year to date, the department has recovered around 350 firearms year to date. And I can tell you, every single day our officers are going out there and recovering firearms like it's nothing. Back when I first started, it would be you'd get an award if you recovered a firearm in a shift. You might even get a little bit of time off. Now it's almost expected if you go out to a shift for you to recover a firearm. So that's why we continue to partner with our federal partners. We continue to utilize our intelligence-led and precision-based policing with our ceasefire strategy, with our Violent Crime Operations Center, working with the Department of Violence Prevention, but also you as our media partners are going out there and getting this information out there. I can tell you what the department is doing is we're really going to be working with our federal partners to see where we can utilize federal charging standards to really hold those that we do find in possession of firearms and do demonstrate carelessness and harm to our community by using them, and make them have maybe federal consequences from this, because that is the only way that we're going to break this cycle, is if we have consequences for harming our community and then doing something to remove the firearms from the streets. It's a continued challenge that we've been here before again talking about. Thank you.
Going back to the child's case, he mentioned about the parents or the car being in crossfire between whom? Do you guys know? Is it a gang members or?
Yeah, so it's a little unclear right now. What we do know is that community has some challenges with illegal sex trafficking, right? So there could be that potential possibility. We also know that sometimes group or gang conflicts, right, do see each other, and there is this kind of like on-site mentality where they will assault each other. So the investigation is still on its onset right now. The positive thing from this is that we do have surveillance technology, right? And that has been a silent partner for us, so to speak, with regards to solving crimes, right? I can't speak enough to it. If you have video footage that you feel may capture a little something, to please get it to us. To please utilize our video camera registry, right? To really use this technology, unfortunately, in the after effect, but it could do something where prevent these people from causing continuous harm to our communities and neighborhoods.
Regarding the car with the little girl in it, were they driving when they were struck, or were they parked?
I believe they were driving. They were driving. They hear what they immediately recognize to be gunfire. The child is crying, very understandably. They get home, And it's when the father goes to take a look at the baby, sees that is suffering from a gunshot wound, right? And that you know, whenever there is violence in our community, whenever somebody gets hurt, you know, that is extremely impactful, and it hurts. But when you hear a story of a 15-month-old child getting struck by a bullet, if it doesn't hit you in your soul a certain way, then that's a problem, right? And I think as a community, that has to hit us in our soul, right? So that we all rally together and continue to do something about this. It's just totally unacceptable, right? As fathers, as community members, as people who love this city, we need to come together and do something about this, because this is nonsense.
How long was it before, you know, when the shooting happened to when he noticed that the child? I know that you guys said he drove back home, but was there an extended period of time in between there, or did they live nearby the area?
I think they did live nearby, right? And we were definitely happy that they were able to take immediate action themselves and go to our partners in the fire department and able to get medical aid there initially, and then with further on advanced medical aid.
Can you say if it was baby boy or baby girl?
I can say it was a baby girl, right?
Do we have any other questions? We have time for 2 more. Okay, if there are no further.
Can you provide any more details on the shooting last night at 10 p.m. Do you suspect, do you have any leads, anything you were asking for from the neighborhood?
I'll let Lieutenant Wynn go.
Yeah. Fortunately, that incident occurred maybe 14 hours ago or so so we're still working. We do ask that we know that there's lots of residents that have surveillance cameras on their building. This did occur in a semi-residential area. We suspect that there probably is some footage out there that we would be interested in looking at, so please review what you have at home and contact us as soon as possible if you have anything.
Henry, last question.
Yeah, I was really fresh. There was just a shooting this afternoon on Park. Anything you can say about the circumstances?
Henry, it's still very preliminary. There's a preliminary investigation going on right now with our Bureau of Field Operations, our patrol officers. So once as that information continues to come into the Department of Investigation, we'll be able to provide further. All right.
Could you also just spell your name, please?
Sure, it's ROLANDHOLM as in Mary, GREN.
You got it right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for joining us. Again, if you have any questions or need any